Parliament is the supreme legislative body of India. The Indian Parliament comprises of the President and the two houses, Rajya Sabha, Council of States, and Lok Sabha, House of the People. The President has the power to summon and prorogue either House of Parliament or to dissolve Lok Sabha. The Constitution of India came into force on 26 January 1950. The President of India is known as the nominal executive, and the Prime Minister and her Council of Ministers form the political executive. The President of India acts like grandparent of the family. If younger generation does not follow her advice, he or she is just unable to do anything. Why is the President of India known as the nominal executive? Discuss the powers and functions of the President. In India, there are two types of executive, namely the nominal and the political, which are the parts of the Indian Parliament. The political executive is the Council of Ministers, which is headed by the Prime Minister. The President of India is the nominal executive in the Indian parliamentary system. The executive, which constitutionally enjoys all powers of execution of laws but practically exercises no authority in administration, is known as the nominal executive. The office of President of India is the creation of the Indian Constitution. The legal framework. The legal framework for the nominal executive in India is first Article 52. It creates the President of India with all the executive. Article 52, it creates the President of India with all the executive powers of the Union vested in him, and has a vital role to play in the other wings of the government as well. The Constitution neither calls him the head of the state nor the head of the executive. The omission was deliberate. Article 53, it says that the executive power of the Union shall be vested in the President and shall be exercised by him either directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with the Constitution. Article 74:1, there shall be a council of ministers with the Prime Minister as its head to aid and advise the President in the exercise of his powers. Article 54, the President shall be elected by an electoral college consisting of the elected members of both houses of Parliament, the elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states. The election of the President shall be held in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of a single transferable vote, and the voting at such election shall be by secret ballot. The justification for an indirect method for election for the President of India is that the Constitution framers wanted the President to reign and not to govern, and secondly, on the contrary, direct elections would have involved excessive human and financial resources. This also avoided any possible conflict between the President and the Council of Ministers in the future. Article 56:1, the President shall hold office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he enters upon his office, provided that first the President may, by writing under his hand addressed to the Vice President, resign his office. The President may, for violation of the Constitution, be removed from office by impeachment in the manner provided in Article 61. The President shall, notwithstanding the expiration of this his term, continue to hold office until his successor enters upon his office. Any resignation addressed to the Vice President under Clause A of the proviso to Clause 1 shall be communicated by him to the Speaker of the House of the People. Tenure. The President is elected for a term of 5 years and can tender the resignation. The Constitution gives power to the Parliament to confer by law functions on authorities other than the President. Hence, it can be said that the President is the constitutional head of the Union and the elected nominal head existing in the Indian parliamentary system. Functions of the President. According to Article 60, the primary duty of the President is to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution and the law of India as a part of the oath that he or she has to take. The role of the President involves being the common head of all independent constitutional bodies. The President's actions are not liable for contesting in the court of law. All executive powers are vested in the President but are executed by the Cabinet in reality. The power of the President define his functions, which are classified into 6 categories given below in figure. Executive, legislative, promulgate ordinances, financial, emergency, diplomatic, military, judicial. Powers and functions of the President of India. First, executive power and functions. Given below are the executive functions of the President. First, head of the Union. All executive actions and orders will be taken in the name of the President as per Article 53(1). He or she has the right to be informed of all affairs of the nation. The executive power of the Union to be exercised by the President has power to make laws, conclude any treaty, contracts, assurances of property or an agreement. Second, appointments. The President as the head of the executive makes appointments of governors, judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, the Auditor and General of India, members of the Finance Commission, Election Commission, Union Public Service Commission, etc. Appointment of the Prime Minister and Ministers. Third, as per the law, the President appoints the Prime Minister and his other Council of Ministers on the advice of the Prime Minister. The President has discretionary powers in this matter under exceptional circumstances, like in the case of a hung parliament, and a judicious choice has to be made in appointing the Prime Minister. Fourth, ask about a majority. The President can ask the party in power to prove their majority in the Parliament if there is some doubt under Article 25 to, for example, H.D. Deva Gowda was asked to do so because the Congress party had withdrawn its support. Fifth, Supreme Commander. The President The head of the state is also the supreme commander of the armed forces of India. The powers of the president include declaring a war or concluding a treaty. Second, legislative powers and functions. The legislative powers and functions of the president are given below. First, a part of the parliament. The president is an integral component of the parliament or the union legislature. He or she has the power to summon either of the two houses or dissolve the lower house, Lok Sabha. If the government loses the majority, the president can also prorogue the houses or either of them. Summoning and addressing the parliament. The president has the power to summon either of the houses or both the houses to make an address. Usually it is a joint address of the parliament every year in the first session or after the elections. He or she can send a message to either of the houses or to both the houses, which is seldom done in case of a disagreement. Third, nomination. In lieu of giving equal representation to all sections of the population in the parliament, the president nominates under Article 80 of the Constitution. The Council of States Rajya Sabha is composed of not more than 250 members, of whom 12 are nominated by the President of India from amongst persons who have special knowledge or practical experience in respect of such matters as literature, science, art and social service. Powers regarding bills. According to Article 111, the President has to give his assent after a bill has been passed in both the houses. In case he or she gives his or her dissent, then the bill can be returned for reconsideration of the houses with a message containing the reason of dissent. Except for a money bill, the houses can agree or not to the changes suggested by the President and send it back for the President to sign. In case there is a bill for formation of a new state or altering the existing boundaries of states, prior approval of the President is required. Bills passed by state legislature. In some cases, under Article 200 and 201, the governor can reserve the assent for the president after the bill has been passed in the state legislature. The president shall declare whether the bill has his her assent or not. If there is disagreement, then the bill goes back to the legislature. Then a period of 6 months is given to the legislature house or houses to consider and return as amended or unamended for the president's approval. Third, power to promulgate ordinances. According to Article 123, the power of the President to promulgate ordinances during recess of Parliament entail having the same force and effect of an Act of Parliament. The President must be satisfied with the need to promulgate an ordinance with the houses are not in session. Such an ordinance shall cease to exist after the expiration of 6 weeks from the reassembly of the parliament and withdrawn by the president, but the maximum possible life of an ordinance can be 6 months, making the total time period in 6 months plus 6 weeks. So the financial powers and functions. No money bill or a proposal for taxation and expenditure can be introduced in the parliament without recommendation of the president. Emergency powers and functions. The president has power and functions in case of proclamation of first national emergency as per Article 352. Failure of constitutional machinery in a state as per Article 352. Financial emergency as per Article 360. 6. The diplomatic powers. All international treaties and agreements are negotiated and made in the name of the President, even though they are carried out by the Prime Minister with his cabinet, or the foreign treaties have to be approved by the Parliament. All foreign service officers are sent or received by the President. All foreign service officers are sent or received by the President. 7th. Military powers. The President is the supreme commander of the Indian Armed Forces and can declare war or conclude peace on the advice of the Union Council of Ministers with the Prime Minister as its head. He makes appointments of the chiefs of the service branches of the armed forces. 8th. Judicial powers. The President has the power to grant pardons, reprieve, or remissions of punishment to any convicted individual according to Article 22. Such decisions do not require approval of the Parliament. Hence, the above mentioned power and functions make the position of the President a strong one, even though he or she is a nominal executive. However, being a nominal heir, the President is like a grandparent in the family because of the above mentioned provisions made in the Indian Constitution. If the Council of Ministers does not agree to the President, to the advice of the President, but the Council still goes ahead with their plan and action, the President's hands are tied and is given a grandparent in the family. The veto power of the Indian President is a combination of the absolute, suspensive and pocket veto.